What happens when one of Hollywood's most nonsense actors sits down with a talk show host in the middle of a personal and professional crisis? You're about to find out. Because what unfolded between Mark Wahlberg and Kelly Clarkson wasn't just uncomfortable. It was a full-on disaster. We're talking cameras cutting, security stepping in, and a walk-off so tense it left the entire crew stunned into silence. The moment was so volatile, the network tried to scrub it from existence. But the truth, it always finds a way out. Before we dive into the jaw-dropping moment that ended the interview, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below, because this story is unlike anything you've ever seen on daytime TV. The Kelly Clarkson Show has built its brand around warmth, laughter, and a bubbly host who can charm just about anyone. But on that Tuesday afternoon, something was off. Behind the scenes, Kelly was unraveling. Her messy divorce was escalating, network pressure to save plummeting ratings was unbearable, and the whispers of cancellation were growing louder. Into that storm walked Mark Wahlberg, professional, prepared, and completely unready for the chaos that awaited him. Wahlberg showed up expecting the usual, a light promotional segment for his new action film. He's done these hundreds of times. Straight shooter, no drama. But before the cameras even rolled, red flags were everywhere. Kelly's production staff asked him about a restaurant chain he sold years ago. Then someone brought up a decade-old film with Will Ferrell like it was his latest project. Mark didn't say much, but he clocked it all. No one had done their homework. Then came the backstage meeting. Kelly barely looked up from her phone, snapping at her assistant in front of everyone. Wahlberg, who's worked with the most high-maintenance names in Hollywood, immediately sensed what was happening. Kelly was spiraling. Still, he stayed professional. Until the lights went up, Kelly launched into her typical upbeat intro, flashing that trademark smile. "We're back with the one and only Mark Wahlberg," she beamed. "Mark, you look incredible, as always." Mark gave a tight smile. "Thanks, Kelly. Happy to be here to talk about the new film." But instead of asking about the film, Kelly swerved, hard. "So Mark, I have to ask, what's it like being married to someone so much younger than you?" The question stopped everything cold. Mark's wife, Rhea, is 8 years younger. Nothing unusual in Hollywood. But it wasn't just the question. It was the tone. Flippant, undermining. Like it was all a punchline. Mark's jaw tightened. "We've been together over 20 years. He replied calmly. "We've figured out how to make it work. But I'm here to talk about the movie, which I think your audience would actually find pretty interesting." That should have been the cue to move on. But Kelly didn't back down. She leaned in. "Oh, come on, Mark. Don't be so serious. You're this tough guy action star. She's this gorgeous younger woman. Doesn't she ever make you feel old?" A nervous laughter trickled from the audience. The air shifted. Everyone could feel it. Mark's expression hardened. Shoulders squared, voice dropped. "Kelly," he said, his tone icy, "with all due respect, I came here to promote a film, not to have my marriage turned into a punchline. My wife is an incredible woman. We have 4 kids, and frankly, I don't appreciate the implication behind your question." Kelly's smile cracked for a split second, but instead of retreating, she doubled down. "Wow, okay? Touchy subject," she snapped. "This is a talk show, Mark. We talk about your life, your family. That's what people care about." Mark leaned forward, voice calm but deadly serious. "No, Kelly, that's not how this works. You book a guest, you do your research, and you ask questions that actually matter. You don't ambush them with tabloid trash." And that was it. Mark stood up, removed his mic, and without another word, walked off set. The audience was stunned. Kelly sat frozen in her chair as producers scrambled to stop the cameras. Security escorted Wahlberg out while the control room went into full panic mode. The segment never aired. The network buried the footage. But insiders on the set that day said it was one of the most uncomfortable and unforgettable moments they'd ever witnessed, because Mark Wahlberg doesn't do drama. But he does draw a line. And on that day, Kelly Clarkson crossed it. And you treat your guests with respect, Mark said, his voice like a shot across the bow. You don't ambush people with personal attacks disguised as small talk. The word ambush hit the studio like a detonation. Kelly's face flushed crimson. She wasn't used to losing control, especially not on her own turf. Guests were supposed to play along, follow the script, and laugh at her jokes. But Mark Wahlberg had just shattered that illusion and taken the wheel. The energy in the room changed instantly. The tension was no longer awkward, it was hostile, raw. Real, Kelly's eyes flashed, and she slapped her note cards down on the desk with a sharp crack that echoed through the silent studio. Ambush. She shot back, her voice climbing with fury. Her polished TV persona was starting to crack under the heat. Mark, I'm asking basic questions. Any other guest would be happy to answer them. Maybe the issue isn't my questions. Maybe it's that you can't handle a woman who doesn't just smile and nod while you talk. The accusation was a grenade. Mark's jaw clenched. Everyone on set saw it. The twitch in his temple, the way his posture shifted like a man preparing for battle. Are you really sitting there and suggesting I have a problem with women? He said quietly, the storm gathering just behind his eyes. Kelly, I've worked with some of the strongest, most talented women in this industry. Directors, producers, co-stars. I support them. What I don't support is unprofessionalism, regardless of where it's coming from. Kelly laughed, sharp and bitter. Oh, please, spare me the feminist lecture, Mark. We all know your reputation. The guy who throws tantrums on set, who demands rewrites, who walks off when he doesn't get his way. And now here you are, sitting on my stage, telling me how to do my job? The studio fell utterly still. Even the crew stopped moving. Mark leaned back slowly, his expression unreadable but his stare razor-sharp, like a cop sizing up a suspect, cold and calculating. My reputation, he said carefully, is being professional, prepared, honest. I show up on time. I do the work. I treat people with respect, as long as they do the same. What's happening right now? This isn't journalism. It's not even entertainment. This is you having a personal crisis and taking it out on whoever's sitting across from you. The words sliced through Kelly like glass. Her voice cracked as she fired back. You don't know anything about my personal life, Mark? You don't know what I'm dealing with. You come in here with your Boston tough. Guy act like the world owes you something. Like we should all bow down because you're Mark Wahlberg. I don't expect anyone to bow down, he replied, rising anger creeping into his tone. I expect basic human decency. I expect you to do your job, not take cheap shots and call it interviewing. And I definitely don't expect to be accused of misogyny by someone who can't handle being called out for bad behavior. That was the breaking point. Kelly stood, fists clenched at her sides, towering above him in her heels. Out of line. Out of line. This is my show. I built this from the ground up. I earned every inch of this platform. And I don't need some washed-up action star telling me how to run my own damn program. The words, washed up, landed like a slap. Mark shot to his feet so fast his chair flew back and skidded off set. For a split second, it looked like he might actually lose it. The audience gasped. Crew members edged closer, ready to intervene. Washed up. Mark's voice thundered, his Boston accent thick now, slicing through the tension like a knife. Lady, I've been in this game for over 30 years. I've starred in Oscar-nominated films, built companies, created jobs for thousands. I'm here because your network asked me as a favor. But you know what? I don't need this. I don't need your show. I don't need your disrespect. He pointed a finger directly at her. And I damn sure don't need to be insulted by someone who clearly can't hold it together for 5 minutes on live TV. Kelly's face went scarlet, her expression a mess of rage and humiliation. Her voice was shrill now. Then leave, Mark. Go ahead. Walk off my set just like you walk off movie sets when you don't get your way. Show everyone what kind of professional you really are. You want me to leave? Mark asked, now calm again, eerily calm. Fine, I'll leave, but not because you told me to. I'm leaving because I respect myself too much to sit here and be dragged into your breakdown on national television. And just like that, he turned and walked off the set. No mech drop, no final look back. Just a quiet storm walking out the door, leaving behind the smoldering wreckage of what was once the Kelly Clarkson show. The words, mental breakdown, hit Kelly like a punch to the gut. Her mouth fell open. For a brief moment, her anger dropped, revealing something raw, hurt, but it didn't last. It came roaring back with a vengeance. "How dare you?" she hissed, jabbing a trembling finger at Mark. "How dare you come on my show and talk to me like that? I'm Kelly Clarkson. I'm an American Idol winner, a Grammy winner, a talk show host with millions of viewers. You are nothing compared to what I've accomplished." Mark stared at her, and when he spoke, his voice was laced with unfiltered disgust. "Kelly," he said, slowly, like he could barely believe what he was hearing. "I don't care if you're the Queen of England. Success doesn't give you the right to treat people like garbage. And right now, in front of everyone in this studio, you're showing the world exactly who you are when the cameras are on and you think no one will call you out." He began unclipping his microphone, his movements measured and precise despite the fury radiating from him. "You know what the real tragedy is here," he continued. "You had a chance to have a great interview. I came in ready to talk about a film I care about, tell stories your audience would have loved, probably even helped your ratings. Instead, you chose to make this personal. You attacked my family, you questioned my character, and you turned a simple promo appearance into this." Kelly was visibly shaking now. Her hair had started to unravel, her makeup cracked beneath the strain. She looked like someone unraveling in real time. "Don't you lecture me about missed opportunities," she snapped. "You're the one throwing away a platform that reaches millions because you can't take a few tough questions." Tough questions. Mark's laugh was cold and sharp, stripped of all humor. "Asking about my role, my prep, my director, the movie. That would have been tough but fair. What you did, that was snide commentary on my marriage. Then you questioned my professionalism when I didn't roll over for it." He gestured broadly at the cameras, the crew, the frozen audience. "There's a difference between journalism and whatever this was." The studio had gone so quiet. The low hum of the air conditioning was the only sound. Every eye was on the confrontation no one could look away from. Mark finished removing his mic and handed it to a stunned sound tech who looked like he wanted to vanish into the floor. The message was clear: the interview was over, but Kelly wasn't finished. Her voice cracked with manic energy, eyes wild. "You know what, Mark? Good. I'm glad this is happening. I'm glad everyone is finally seeing the real Mark Wahlberg. The guy who folds the second a woman doesn't play along. The guy who runs away the second anyone asks, something real instead of feeding him his PR script." Mark paused mid-step, halfway off stage. He turned back. His face was stone, but his eyes burned. "Do you even hear yourself?" he asked. "Because I guarantee when this airs, people won't be talking about how I couldn't handle your questions. They'll be talking about you. How you lost control of your own show. How you broke down in front of millions." Kelly let out a shrill, desperate laugh. "Lost control? I'm in control, Mark. This is my show, my stage, my audience. You're just a guest. A guest who apparently can't handle being challenged by someone who's not impressed by your tough guy routine." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Some looked toward the exits. A few crew members had pulled out their phones, silently recording what was clearly a career-defining disaster. For someone. Mark took a slow, deliberate breath. His voice rose again, this time with unmistakable fire. Challenged. "You think asking petty, personal questions about my wife and twisting my words is a challenge. You think questioning my integrity is journalism. Kelly, since I sat down. You haven't asked a single meaningful thing. All you've done is attack and deflect and play victim when I call you out." Kelly stepped toward him, her face contorted with rage, and something else. Desperation. "Oh, poor Mark Wahlberg," she mocked. Upset because someone didn't let him coast through his little promo routine. Boo-hoo. Maybe next time someone should give you a script with feelings in it. Mark's jaw tightened, his temper finally breaching the surface. "You want interesting, Kelly?" he barked. "Here's interesting. I've done thousands of interviews in my career. With Barbara Walters, with Oprah, with Howard Stern. Tough interviewers, real interviewers. And not one of them, not one, was as unprofessional, as toxic, and as completely out of control as you've been today." He took one last look at the cameras, at the studio, at the woman across from him. And here's what's really interesting. They all managed to get great interviews without attacking my family or questioning my damn humanity. And with that, Mark Wahlberg turned, walked off stage, and left behind the most infamous interview moment daytime television had ever seen. Kelly Clarkson's face went pale, just for a second, as the weight of what she'd said finally seemed to hit her. But instead of pulling back, she went in for one final blow. "Maybe they were just better at kissing your ass than I am," she spat. "Maybe they were willing to play your game. Pretend you're some kind of saint instead of just another Hollywood ego who can't handle a little criticism." Mark leaned forward, stunned. "Criticism?" His voice was low but laced with disbelief. "No, Kelly. Criticism is asking hard questions about my work, my choices, my career. What you've been doing today. That's not journalism. That's character assassination hiding behind a microphone." The studio was holding its breath. Mark's tone sharpened, cutting through the tension. "And if you can't tell the difference, you have no business hosting a talk show." The blow landed hard. Kelly flinched. The audience caught it, the flicker of pain, the fear in her eyes that maybe, just maybe, he was right. That maybe she'd let something personal twist into a public disaster. But instead of acknowledging it, she lashed out. One final, desperate attempt to salvage control. "Get off my stage," she hissed. "Right now." "Security!" The call sent a ripple of shock through the studio. 2 security guards in dark blazers began moving forward. But Mark didn't budge. He raised a hand, not in defiance, but almost in pity. "You don't need security, Kelly," he said, voice calm now. "I'm leaving. But I want every person in this room, and everyone watching at home, to remember what just happened here." He turned to the camera, his eyes steady. "I came here to promote a film. To be a guest, to respect your platform. Instead, I was ambushed by someone more interested in scoring cheap shots than conducting an honest interview. And for anyone watching this is not normal. This is not how professionals behave." Kelly's voice cracked as she screamed across the studio, her mask now completely gone. "Don't you dare lecture my audience! Don't you stand on my stage and tell people how to think!" Mark shook his head, quietly. "I don't need to tell them anything, Kelly. They saw it themselves. They saw you cross the line. They saw you take something that could have been a conversation and turn it into a vendetta. And they saw you completely lose control when someone pushed back." He walked toward the edge of the stage. Kelly's voice followed, shrill and desperate. "This isn't over, Mark! Do you hear me? I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are!" Mark turned one last time. "No, Kelly," he said softly. "The only person whose character got exposed today was yours, and I truly hope you get the help you clearly need. Because what I just saw, that wasn't someone okay." And with that, he stepped off the stage. Kelly stood alone, in front of the audience, the cameras, her own crew, completely exposed. Silence fell over the studio. No applause, no wrap-up music. Just the sound of Kelly's shallow breathing and the quiet mechanical hum of the cameras still rolling, capturing every frame of her unraveling. She blinked, dazed, then turned to the camera with a brittle, forced smile that fooled no one. "Well," she said, voice cracking, "I guess that's all the time we have. We'll be right back after these messages." But there would be no messages. No return from this. No tomorrow for the Kelly Clarkson show. The cameras finally cut, but the damage had already gone viral. This moment would live on in infamy as one of the most catastrophic implosions in talk show history. So there you have it. The confrontation that ended Kelly Clarkson's talk show career and revealed the raw, unfiltered truth behind the smiles. Mark Wahlberg walked away with his dignity intact. Kelly, she was left behind, alone, exposed, and facing the fallout. What do you think? Was Mark right to walk off? Or should he have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping Hollywood showdowns they really don't want you to see.